Hello and welcome to the Dyslexia Mom Boss podcast, the show that helps you not only feel empowered and knowledgeable, but confident and a boss mom in the dyslexia journey. I'm your host, Dr. Lauren. Welcome back to another episode of the Dyslexia Mom Boss podcast. So those of you who are new to the show, I am Dr. Lauren. I am your host, and this is another amazing episode packed with tons of advice, anything you can use to apply in this dyslexia journey with your kiddos. So today I am interviewing Morganne Owens, who is my guest, and I am just so excited to have her on the show. Morganne, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. You have a great mission, so.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love your energy. And this is going to be such a high intense energy episode for our moms out there. So if you're listening to this episode when it drops at 5 a.m. and you're on Eastern time, just be aware that there's going to be a lot of energy.
Yes, both of us have energy.
I love it. I love it. So I want to kick off our first question, which really is about you framing who you are in this space. So, Morganne, you wear many hats. You're a mom as well. You're a school psychologist, a licensed therapist, a speaker. You own your own private practice.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing it all. I love it. I love it. Can you share your why and how this impacts your work?
The why is that I deeply, deeply care about, really, this is who I inherently am, inherently deep down in the inside. And you're going to hear me reference this again and again in my core. The essence of who I am, I'm a healer. I'm very aware that my purpose on the planet is to inspire people and to help them heal. And that's what I do. It comes from a very deep place. I also have life experience, someone who has healed through intergenerational trauma. I've been on the couch too, so you're right. I know this from lots of different vantage points. I know it from being the parent, from the clinical seat. So when I'm working with someone and I'm interacting with them, it's heart space, through and through. That's what I'm here to do. And I'm true to that. And so that's why I do all these things.
Yeah. And I love that. First things first, for those of you who are not avid listeners, I was a psychology major undergrad. And my reasoning for going into psychology was really to understand human behavior. And I know you and I talked about really starting at those early stages with kids, really understanding where they're coming from, where they're going. And I just really resonate with you so much because I agree. I feel like I am a healer. I mean, that's why this podcast exists, to share information, to inspire, to get parents around the world to know that your child is unique, but they have different things they can bring to the world as long as we understand who they are in that space. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't aware of it at the time. I think a lot of us like to go back to the places where we found victories. And I knew, even though I was going through all these things in childhood, there was a reason, I guess, people would come and ask me questions, and I knew a little bit. But now, knowing myself more, having that intimacy with my higher self, I know that I wanted to work with children because I wanted to know the full spectrum of human behavior. I wanted to understand how all this got started, and I wanted to be able to do something about it. Real quick, I was watching this show on Netflix. I think it's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Yes, that documentary.
Yes. And they have Bryan Stevenson on there. And Bryan Stevenson was talking about, I think, the first inmate that he had worked with that was on death row, that was in the electric chair. Anyway, and he said all these people were asking, can I help you? Can I help you? And he said more people had asked me, can I help you in these last day of my life than these 19 years I was living? And then he went down, and Bryan Stevenson was talking about, where were they when you were 3, when you were sexually abused? But my work I'm there when you're 3. I'm there when you're 6 and you were physically abused. When you have PTSD, you came back from the war. So my life work is about inspiring and healing, particularly in that intersectionality space, but it's for any human, to really help them come back home, help them to come to health. Yeah.
I love that. And we'll touch on that intersectionality a little later in the interview, but you said something that really resonated with me, really having a great relationship with your higher self. And I
Yeah.
think most people are not aware of that. And I know that working with moms in this space, there is such a level of angst, anxiety, overwhelm. And so moms are anxious and struggling to cope with terms within this dyslexia journey. And it's not just dyslexia. I mean, it's really any learning disability and not really
Mhm.
understanding the scope of that. So whether it's overwhelm, not knowing what to ask or who to talk to, they're in denial, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So Morgan, as a holistic practitioner, what piece of advice can you offer to moms listening? What can they do internally or externally to really feel confident in this process?
I first want to say we want to validate where you're at. And the reason that you're feeling overwhelmed is because you care. You're a
Exactly.
mom and you care and you love and you're sticking with it, even though there are lots. So let's do that first.
Let's start there. Let's start there.
Let's start there. You know, you're a mom and you're amazing. And we hold that sacred. And then part two is yes, you want to do the inner work. I didn't know this about school psychology when I got into it. But you get good at family work. If you're going to do this gig, you get good at family work. You know, kids comes in packages and I'm really honoring a kid. I'm honoring you. I'm holding space for all of you. Yeah, it is. So I do that on the regular now. I know that every practitioner isn't necessarily like me and
Right.
has that openness because that openness comes from my relationship with myself. But I just want to encourage moms out there. You want to do your own inner work. You want to do your healing journey. Because that's where your strength is going to come from. That's where your clarity is going to come from. That's where you developing your intuition is going to come from and you being able to navigate this system. It's really about navigating systems. I know we touched on intersectionality. That's what's going down. So let me not gaslight you.
Right.
You're not crazy. You're not crazy.
Well, it's crazy because a part of my work for Think Dyslexia is I don't believe in just finding that intervention. I don't believe in just finding that one tutor. I believe this being a holistic approach where, as you said, the child is a part of the family unit, the family package. And I view that the same exact way. And more, I think as clients come and they understand my packages, they realize sometimes I get oh, wow, I didn't even think of it that way. Or, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I'll have whatever coaching is weaved into this intervention. And I think that I've figured that out in my 12 years in this space where it's not just, okay, pay me to tutor your child. And then all of a sudden their reading has increased. But what about all the social emotional aspects within that family unit?
Absolutely.
And I just love that you are speaking to this because I want moms out there all over the world to hear that it's not just about, I want my child to read. It's deeper than that. And doing that internal work is critical.
It is. That holistic approach is right because health is dynamic. There's lots of different factors that feed into a person's readiness to learn. I can't tell you how many times I'll go ahead and I'll do the cognitive testing and depending on a person's confidence is based on beliefs, right? Beliefs are things that we've internalized. I mean, I could see like a 20-point difference, a 20-point slide. So I routinely tell folks, you're not your number. And really, if we want to get to someone's receptivity, you got to be seen. And being seen has a whole other different dimension. It becomes holographic. It is not 3D. So if we're just thinking about the letters that are on the page, it's deeper than that. And that's when you start to understand humanity. And then you can be in someone's seat and like, okay, now I can see you. Now I can understand you. Now I can reach you where you're at.
Wow. First of all, if you're a teacher listening to this podcast, you're probably already agreeing with everything we're saying. But I know that there are some teachers out there that just don't get it. Learning disabilities. I've had teachers tell me in public school, I don't follow the IEP. Basically, you're not seeing that child. Yeah, like you're not seeing that child. So you're mad that the child isn't performing, but you're not developing a relationship with them. So I think being seen is critical. And also, I love how you said the point scale and the numbers. Like that was me growing up. I struggled in school. I was diagnosed late with ADHD. And, I swear I never wanted anyone to give me an IQ test because it would look like I was an idiot.
Right.
I just couldn't do it.
Yes, I was that kid too. I was just so nervous. That wasn't necessarily my story, but I was just so nervous about the performance. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Performance anxiety.
As soon as she took the spotlight after me, I could, I could tell you everything. but I was so scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the teachers, though, also part of my work is I help the teachers stay on board. So I think, because
Yeah.
it is a system, that's a whole other
That's a
component.
whole different
That's
episode.
a whole other thing. Yeah, correct.
Absolutely. Maybe we should do a part 2 on that because you are a school psychologist. So you have that vantage point in public school where we could really talk about what that looks like to equip teachers to not rude comments like that.
Yeah. That's a whole other different skill, but that's
Yeah,
true.
it really
Mhm.
is. So I actually want to touch on, you talked about health, and I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but you and I have talked about health being inside and not outside. So can you really elaborate a little bit more about what that means and why that's important for moms in this journey?
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of us, we're good people,
Yeah.
So that's one. And we're trying to follow the rules that we quote unquote think are the rules set by society. They're external things. So people are looking for external validation. What do things look on
Mm,
the outside, on
right.
the facade, but on the inside, people really need help. Health is when things are integrity with its authenticity, is the oak tree. When you are who you are meant to be. For us as humans, that is our core. Our different authentic religions call it different things, your spirit, your higher self. So it's been referenced for centuries. So when we go back to that place, or we're moving towards that place, that's where health really lives. And so just thinking about children and attachment, we come into the world ready to love. We don't even know where it starts and stops in terms of giving love, receiving love. It's so intact. But because bonding is so important and crucial to survival, oftentimes we turn away from who we really are due
Mm,
to the different pressures of how we're raised, society, X, Y, or Z. And then we become less authentic. But in childhood, you can remember the pureness of imagination and magic,
yes.
and then the crux
Yes.
of, oh my gosh, I need these external things to live. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's really just trying to get situated in physical reality. But no, the magic is always supposed to be with you. The serendipity, we inherently know that there's more to life.
Hey, it's your favorite podcast host, Dr. Lauren. Have I told you how much I appreciate you as a listener? Well, if I haven't, I want to tell you just how much I do today. You're the reason I come back every week with top-notch content with guests to help you navigate this DQ journey. But I gotta tell you, organizing and getting these episodes up and running doesn't come cheap. I have a fantastic podcast team that takes care of me and you to ensure that episodes are high quality and show notes are detailed and riddled with goodies for you to use and apply for your next steps in this journey. But can I ask you a favor? We'd love to have your support to keep the podcast up and running. You can donate as little or as much as you'd like to support the podcast. All you need to do is go to the link in the show notes or visit our website at thinkdyslexia.me and click support the podcast, and it will take you exactly where you need to be. Oh, and one last thing, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and of course, share this podcast with others who are on the same journey as you. Yeah, I love everything you said. And one thing I really want to touch on is my 5-year-old. The things that come out of her mouth, the imagination. Like she has her own business. Like she has she has a virtual assistant, a personal assistant. I mean, the things that come out of this child's mouth. And I look at her in awe and I literally say to myself, I need to be more like her. Because
Yes.
you're absolutely right. There's somewhere along the way, whether it's with the home environment we grew up in, whether it's stuff we're internalizing. Like I know working with dyslexic students, they've told me like no one's ever said I was stupid or my parents are always supportive, but yet they have these things that are just eating away at them because of, like you said, society and those external societal pressures. But there's something along the way where we lose that and we aren't
Totally.
being our authentic selves. And I just feel like, I know for me, as you said, sitting on the couch, I've been sitting on the couch for quite some time. And
Yes. Come on now.
exactly. I am not ashamed of it. And it's actually helped me figure out more of who I am in this
So
journey
brave.
of life.
So
Yes.
brave. Come on.
Yes. Just keeping it real, guys. Keeping it real.
That's right.
And the thing is, I have gotten more comfortable with talking to little Lauren. really
Yes.
going
Come
back and
on.
healing that little girl. And I just feel like the moms that are out there, whether it's denial, whether it's anxiety, whether it's what are people going to think about me, or whether it's your story that you never knew and you see it in your child,
Yeah.
go back and do that inner work
You got to
because
do it.
that's what's going to make the difference in your life and your child's life. And I had to say that because I was literally
Yes.
thinking about my little girl and I was like, she's so right. The imagination,
The
it's there when
magic.
you're a little kid and then it just disappears. I don't know when.
That's right. Well, that's why sometimes we're doing the work together. We're trying to figure out like, when did these pivotal moments happen? When
Yeah.
do we need to go back? When we're doing our inner child work, where are the places that we need to go back? There are certain
Right.
places, right, where, we need to go and get ourselves. So thinking about parenting as a mom, we also need to know how to parent ourselves. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Oh
Come
my
on.
gosh. Yes.
So yes, that translates. That translates into your capacity because you are the place of the unconditional. So when you
Right.
feel love there, then you can give it out. That's your natural state. And it's
Yeah.
always a place of ease.
Yeah. I love this. And I know that moms that are listening to this, they're probably like, I didn't know what I was going to walk into in this episode, but you're getting like a spiritual masterclass here. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. So Morgan, we are both women of color.
Yes.
And me being a Black educator in this space, I have been told in some ways, not necessarily directly, that I'm a unicorn because there are not a lot of Black women in this dyslexia literacy space that
Yeah.
have the credentials that I usually, that most,
Correct.
I'm going to be honest, white women have.
Correct.
So you
Correct.
being a woman of color as well,
Yes.
being a school psychologist and a mom, like we have so many different intersectionalities. I really want people to know that we exist because sometimes we're not represented. You know what I mean? We're not represented in these communities. And so with that, because I have to bring it back to the purpose of this podcast, I always like to shed light on the Black dyslexics to really showcase this isn't just a whitewashed disability. I mean, this impacts everybody. So I am sure in your years of working with kids, you've seen some dyslexic girls in your career. So whether or not they've been diagnosed or you suspect that they have dyslexia, can you talk a little bit about how your work empowers them? And I would love for you to share a little bit about your therapy for Black girls.
Sure. One, we just want to honor the Black female identity, the Black mom, the Black girl, right? The beautifulness of the radiance of your skin, how your Blackness is your strength. It's your dignity. You know what I mean? It's your royalty. And it's really creating space to be seen again and creating safety. And so a lot of times, again, you feel the Black tax. Like there's all these things that are stacked up against. So it's like people have certain beliefs about having to keep it on versus really being able to present who you are and kind of getting boxed in by those. Really, it comes down to getting boxed in by those beliefs. And so when we see that, we really just want to emphasize how capable you are, how smart you are, how you're not a number. I mean, all the things that we've been referencing throughout our time talking together, that the sky's the limit, that you need to keep dreaming, that you need to keep going, not for them, but for you, how you are an integral part of the community. So I am on the registry therapy for Black girls. Obviously, I have a heart for the matter. And yeah, I get a lot of referrals from there because it's a unique experience, Black women experience about being overlooked, being the people to have to carry everything.
Heavy burden. Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Right. And so it's really just having someone else that just sees that. And so you can unpack because you have to be able to let that, I wouldn't even necessarily call it a guard all the time. Some of it's guard and some of it's just that I don't have to take that responsibility on. It's really an association with responsibility. So then I have space to heal and I can recover. So that's what I do. When I do evaluations going back to school psych land, I am very, very attuned to conceptualizing that in the correct way and an empowering way. Yes, someone is not just a number. I make that clear, a kid to a family, to my colleagues. I will not. I refuse. I will not do that.
I love that. And when you were talking about the burden, so the first thing I thought of was Erykah Badu's song Bag Lady. I used to love that song growing up. And as a kid, I was like,
love her.
What do you mean she's carrying all these bags? I literally thought they were like literal bags. But then as I've gotten older, I'm like, no, the baggage of life and really
Yeah.
having all of that weighing you down. And I
Mhm.
think as Black women, there's so much behind that and societal
Totally.
pressures and, cultural societal pressures. And I just feel like we do the legwork, like getting these girls at a young age to know like all of the things you said, are critical. And then when you tack on a reading or writing
Right.
disability,
Right.
talk about like being at the bottom of the totem pole, It's
Right.
like, it's so true. And I say this all the time. Reading and writing are civil rights. So when
Oh, I
we are
love that.
not offering the Black and Brown communities, affording them the same equities that the white communities or the more wealthier communities have, we're doing our community a disservice, which then perpetuates the stereotypes, which
Totally.
then perpetuates the, well, how come you can't pick yourself up your own bootstraps? It's
Yeah.
such a systemic issue. And I just love the work that you're doing. And I
Oh,
just love that. Yeah, I really do. I
thank
wish
you.
I had you when I was in middle school.
Yeah, and I'm loud about it. Let me tell you what, I'm loud about it. I'm out in that hallway. You know
Good.
what I mean? Like, you are going to know that I'm here and that I believe in you. Come on. You know what I mean? You're
Yes,
going to know that this is not it for you. You can
exactly.
choose this right now, but that's not who you are. I refuse to not see who you really are. I just live that way. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I love that. I love that. So, Morgan, we have touched on so much in this 20 minutes that I'm sure people are like, wait a second. I need to contact her. Like, she's got good stuff out there. So, share a little bit about your business, how people can reach you. Put it all out there. Just do
Did
it.
I just do it? So, okay. Like you said, I wear a lot of different hats. You can go to www.morgan. I'm going to spell it out. My first name is
Yes.
spelled differently.
Spell it. I'm like, is it Morganne or is it Morgan?
Yes, that's right. You kept asking me. www.morgannev.com. Anyway, that's my middle initial V. So you can go there. That's my website. You'll see my speaking stuff. And there's a link also to my private practice page. So again, yes, I'm a licensed therapist and I'm a school psychologist, but also I'm an intuitive, holistic therapist. So we talked about the
Right.
holistic aspect, but the intuitive thing is because I've done that meditation and mindfulness, I've got that going
Mm,
on. I can listen to people. I can help you with your subconscious. And so that's important because we manifest out of the beliefs we're aware of in our conscious mind and
yes.
the beliefs we are not aware of in our
Exactly.
subconscious mind. And so we're all one. So yes, we all have intuition. It's pretty much how much we develop that. That's what that is. So my practice, I do therapy, I do coaching, and you can see that I run a free group that's open to the community once a month because I really care about this issue. And, I understand the systemic barriers. You can catch me on LinkedIn as
Mm.
well. So, right, that's how me and
You're
Lauren met,
everywhere.
Dr.
Yeah,
Lauren.
exactly. We met on LinkedIn. I was like, you put out a post and I said, this woman is speaking to my soul and she looks like me. I'm going to message her. Like everything. I was like, yes, I'm on it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And we really are on it to really connect. And so I love that
Yes.
community. And so my LinkedIn handle is morganv.com, Morgan V again. And then I also have a Twitter page, and that's at CBT Journey. So that's
Oh,
similar to my
nice.
practice, which is Journey CBT and Counseling located in Arlington, Virginia. So right across the street
Yes.
from Washington, D.C., from the Francis Scott Key Bridge. So that's where I'm
Perfect.
located.
Yeah, and all of those links will be in the show notes. So those of you who are walking or driving, be sure when you're in a safe space, I don't want anybody to crash now. You can click those links in the show notes and definitely get in touch with Morgan. Morgan, this was such a pleasure. It was just amazing talking to you. It's always amazing talking to you. And
Oh, likewise.
yeah, and I really hope that those of you who are listening, this episode resonated with you. And as I always say, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share this podcast, the episode, whatever, the whole podcast with anybody who needs this, because my mission is really to bring awareness globally around this topic.
I
So,
can't wait to share this. I can't wait to share it out, Lauren.
yes, I cannot wait. So, thanks again. And everyone, tune in next week for another fantastic episode.